everyone, welcome back to the Future of Finance podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Wood, and today I'm joined with Jason Humphrey from the Sunraising Foundation, where we're going to share how doing good can really just be good business.
Oh, thanks for having me, Marissa.
So thanks for coming, Jason. And so Jason and I met about a year and a half ago at our BNI chapter, which stands for Business Networking International. It's a networking group that the common goal is to help each other's businesses grow. And, we've developed a nice business relationship. And, Jason is recently launched Sunraising Foundation, which tell me a little bit more about what that means and how this came to be.
Yeah, BNI specifically has been just a great foundation for us to grow our foundation on. And it's awesome, especially here, having BNI here in the 4 & Co building. A lot of good entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are growing their businesses. And, for us, my wife and I started the Sunraising Foundation 2 years ago. We really wanted to focus on writing grants and helping, clean water projects, food insecurity projects, sustainable community projects. And, it was kind of a slow start. And BNI gave us an opportunity to come in and really share our story and network with a lot of business-minded professionals, and really gave us the confidence to kind of cultivate our Power Partner program and really kind of put ourselves out there to grow. So it's been a boon.
Yeah. And we're going to get into that Power Partner program today because, it's one of the most exciting launches that we've heard of from Sunraising. Now, how did you come up with the name Sunraising?
Oh, good question. So we're
going to have to play on words.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back in time just a little bit. I was in the renewable energy industry late 2014, 2015. There was an earthquake in Nepal. Right. And there was something like 30,000 people died. And the company that I was with, Solar City, they had a program. It was called Sunraising, right? And they said, okay, salespeople, for every megawatt of solar that you sold, we're going to fund a project in Nepal. It's either going to be solar panels on schools, on a community center, help to reestablish those communities. I thought that was the coolest thing, right? And that kind of became my drumbeat, my why, if you will. And so I thought it was really cool.
Sun, solar.
Sunraising, fundraising, using the sun is kind of the essence of what Sunraising came to be. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you develop such a passion for philanthropy? So this Nepal mission, it spoke to you? Is that kind of what snowballed everything?
Throughout the career, there's always been a little bit of impact on the fringes of the day-to-day. But really, in that situation, I thought it was incredibly cool that you could be doing work in this case, it was Colorado, and doing work, sitting at a table, helping someone save a couple of dollars with solar energy, and as a direct result, impacting lives halfway around the world. And that was just a concept that was amazing to really think about. And that was something that I was hoping we'd be able to weave into the career the rest of the way. And so with the start of the Sunraising Foundation, we're hopefully going to allow other businesses to follow suit.
Amazing. Yeah. What are some of the projects that you guys have going on right now, either with other businesses or just yourself?
Yeah, great question. We've just completed funding for a clean water project in Chiapas, Mexico, where we worked with Healing Waters International. We're bringing piped clean water into homes in Mexico for the first time in their history, 600 homes, which was great. We've deployed some solar panels to Haiti recently, which is great. We've started a new recycling program called Bags to Bedrolls, which has been a hit at BNI.
Tell everyone about that because that's really, really cool.
Bags to Bedrolls has been great. Literally your Publix shopping bags, Walmart shopping bags, your CVS. Most of the time they're used for either pet waste, right? And then thrown in the trash or just thrown in the trash, rarely recycled. And so through our volunteering at the Trinity Cafe with Feeding Tampa Bay, we uncovered a way that we can recycle those bags into plarn, which is plastic yarn, and then weave bedrolls. And then we distribute those out to the homeless population here in Tampa, for which there's about 4,000. And so with 700 Publix bags, we can turn that into a bedroll so someone can sleep a little bit more comfortably at night. Yep.
Wow. And how are you collecting them? Is there bins throughout the area?
Yep. So we've so far deployed about a dozen bins. There's one right here at 4 & Co. We've just partnered up with the Key Club at Sun Lake High School, various credit unions around town. Dr. Ron at 100% Chiropractic just launched his collection bins. And so you can go on our website. There's about a dozen locations that you can go to drop off bags. And we're starting to get more corporations interested in hosting collection bins, which is great.
That's brilliant, because not only are you helping, of course, the homeless that need a little bit of cushion, you're also recycling the bags, which have become just waste for our planet. So it really is brilliant, and it's such a simple thing that, who doesn't have a bunch of bags laying around in their pantry that they can donate and feel like, okay, I'm making somewhat of an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone has that drawer or that area in their house that just collects these plastic bags,
Mhm.
knowing that you don't want to throw them away and you don't really know what to do
Mhm.
with them. And so this is a great opportunity to repurpose those into something that's really cool. And there's a third effect that we found out from this program that we weren't really thinking about, but most of our volunteers that make the bedrolls are actually retirees. Right. And so
Mm.
it's become a really cool opportunity for them to get together, work on some mental dexterity,
Wow.
weaving those together, some camaraderie stuff. And so it's really started to be this kind of three pillars of impact that just really satisfies, and people are getting really excited about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super cool.
that's really cool to
Yeah.
hear. And now, another event that I wanted to speak about today is your poker night, which
Yep.
benefited the victims of the two hurricanes that we had in the Tampa Bay area in the fall of 2024, which were devastating to a lot of families close to home. I
Yep.
mean, I know in our office building that I work in every day, one of the office members on staff
Yep.
lost everything in
Yep.
that hurricane. She lived closer to the coast than we do. And, what an amazing thing to be able to help a family directly. We all want to give in any way that we can, but I think it has a stronger impact when you can see exactly who that person is that you're helping, and you feel the need. You feel like, oh my gosh, if this person's right down the hall and I can help them rebuild a house or have shelter for the next couple months, of course I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so you did this poker night. Tell us about that. Tell us about the success of it, and how
Yeah.
much were we able to raise for these hurricane victims?
Absolutely. Part of having a nonprofit organization is the ability to be flexible. The way we set it up is to respond when needs arise, and that's a perfect example. We originally had started the lights out poker night, which was an immersive experience where we were going to play poker with no light whatsoever, just candlelight, right? To
Yeah.
really simulate what it would be like to have to put ourselves in an uncomfortable position that many live in. I think there's over 500 million people on this planet that don't have access to electricity, yet we have access to it on our day-to-day. So it was planned to be just kind of a fun awareness meeting. But then the hurricanes hit, and we immediately pivoted and said, okay, we need to raise money for our local community. And so thankfully, BNI rose to the equation. We had lots of sponsors, lots of attendees. We even doubled that up. We raised $5,000, which was great. We then partnered with the Community Foundation of Tampa Bay, which matched our 5,000, turning it into 10,000. Raised a little bit more, $11,500 total. And that took various forms. There was a nonprofit organization in Tampa that got completely wiped out, both their location and their vehicles. And so $10,000, the bulk majority went to rebuilding their entire facility and getting them a new vehicle. And they're a nonprofit that does food programs for minority women, domestic violence victims, things like that. So there was a ripple effect to that was in desperate need. But like you mentioned, it's also closer to home. What most people don't realize right now is that there's a lot of need very close to them, but people don't talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to take the other $1,500 from that event, help the specific individual here in the Forenco building. And then John Pinnell, Smart Home Services, and we got a bunch of gift cards. I know Philippe from ProCare,
Mm-hmm.
jumped in on the gift cards, and we went out to a couple of different communities that were just devastated. Mobile homes completely flooded, seniors basically camping out in a community center, passing out gift cards to Publix, Home Depot, trying to do a little bit of what we can. It's tough because after disasters, it's unorganized help.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of people that want to help, but there's no organizing body directing those resources. So it's very hit or miss. You can have communities that have more donations than what they need right next to a community that is being forgotten about. And we were fortunate enough to
So
find a
true.
couple of those communities and help them out as well.
Yeah, I mean, that poker night, the lights out poker night, it was such a success. I was at it. Believe it or not, my mom, Lisa Green, actually won the entire poker
Boy,
night.
did she. She
She took
cleaned
down
house that night.
everyone. And it's funny because when we first arrived that night, she was joking with everyone and saying, "Well, I'm going to win."
Yep.
And in her head, she was saying she would win a hand of poker.
Oh
She
my
wasn't
gosh.
talking about winning the entire thing. And, so we're there all night, and it's down to her and another guy and she ends up winning. And it was so much fun to see the joy it brought her. And then, she was able to take her winnings and
Yes.
donate it then to this woman that we're
Right on the
speaking
spot.
about
Yeah.
right on spot.
Yep.
She was at the building we were
Yeah.
at. And how cool is that? I
Yeah.
mean, it was a massive success for your first really big event. And, that was like, okay, Sunraising knows what they're doing and they can make a real impact in this community and even globally.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it did have a little bit of dream come true,
oh,
and that was the part that I think we were all most proud about is just the support, obviously from Four & Co, from the BNI chapter,
mhm.
but then seeing your mom win and immediately look forward, how to pay that forward and
Mhm.
have that opportunity right then and there, to start a foundation, is typically built on our hopes and dreams, and I think philanthropy is contagious. That's
Mm,
what we're kind of the premise of why we're doing what we're doing is to try and make philanthropy just more accessible for people, because when you give them that opportunity to participate and then pay that forward, you'd be
mhm.
surprised at how quickly that ground swells. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I think a lot of us, a lot of businesses, we want to give back. I believe that most people are good. And we want to give back, but we don't know how. We don't even know where to begin, which charity to give to, how to facilitate it. We don't have time to make sure that that money is actually getting there and we can see that it's being used properly. And so we just throw our hands up and go, I don't know. I guess I can't donate.
Yeah.
I'll try to throw some money in next time someone does a collection, but I can't really take on a whole foundation myself because it's just too much work while I'm already managing my business.
Yeah.
And I know I even felt that way. And so that's why I want to talk about the Power Partners program that you've created to alleviate all of the work that goes behind giving so that, we can continue servicing our clients and running our business while making a difference in the background. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, excellent segue. Modern philanthropy is very reactionary based, right? See sponsor, give sponsor, you feel good about it right then and there. And there's really just not a lot of accountability in that. Where does the money go? Who do you
Mhm.
touch? How do you report that back? So when we were looking at, ways to grow the organization, we really wanted to make philanthropy easy. And so we kind of settled on this concept of philanthropy as a service, or for a better term, white labeled philanthropy.
Mhm.
Right. And so most people, like you mentioned, want to do more good in business, but they don't have the time or the resources to do it. It really is kind of complex, from setting up a 501(c)(3 to running it on a day to day, to finding the right impact partners, to holding them accountable, reporting it back, leveraging that to grow your business. It's really a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So unless you're in a situation where you can dedicate and grow a department, we said, okay, well, what if we become that for our partners? Sunraising, for me, my wife, and our board, that name is very, very important. It's very emotional. But for our partners, that's the same connection that you have with your brand, Union
Mhm.
Financial, and it deserves to be put front and center. So how do we marriage those two? And so we said, okay, for our power partners, what if we do a branded impact fund, where it's their passion? We guide them on helping find where their passions are, find the right partners, vet those partners. We'll do the organization of the funds, we'll write the grants, we'll work together on that side, but we'll do all the back end compliance, we'll
Mhm.
do all the back end reporting, the transparency, reporting that back. And so really we took an entrepreneurial approach to philanthropy, and we feel like we have something that's pretty special, and we're hoping that with our partnership with Union Financial, that we can
Mhm.
really set the stage for how businesses can grow through philanthropy without having to worry about it slowing down their traditional business trajectory.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, we are officially
We are,
launching
yes.
the Union Financial Impact Fund, which In
Amazing.
2025, the recipient is going to be Metropolitan Ministries, which is a Tampa Bay charity
Yep.
that focuses on helping homeless, helping women and children in difficult situations, helping those get back on their feet, everything from food, shelter to job interview, prep,
Yep.
really a large variety of ways that they help in the area. But the exciting thing is that, every year we want to change our recipient. There's so many charities that are local to the area that really do need our help. And so what we want to do is we want feedback from our listeners. We want feedback from our clients. What's, a charity that you hold close to heart that you'd want our 2026 money to go towards? Because what we're committing to at Union Financial is $100 for every new account opened
Beautiful.
throughout the course of the year. We will put into that impact fund, and whether it be once or twice a year, fundraising will help us
Yeah.
funnel that money to where it needs to go. And the great thing is that Jason and his team are going to be creating a landing page where it's really simple. You can just go right to that landing page, make your donation, read a little bit about where it's going to be going. What else can they find on that landing page?
They'll be able to give through the landing page
Okay.
directly into your fund bucket, if you will. And then, like you said, twice a year we'll get together, we'll write grants. One of the great ways that we can support our power partners is by working directly with your organization of choice to find, what is their most pressing need, right? Real quick, just Metropolitan Ministries is a huge organization doing lots of good, but there's probably specific intricacies in there that they desperately need money for. And so when it comes time to write grants, one of the roles that we'll play is a kind of a bridge between the two organizations to find out exactly where the urgent need is, to see if that matches up with your giving style. And so that way we can, instead of just blanket giving to an organization, we can find those specific use cases that fit really well.
One of the reasons we chose Metropolitan Ministries, first of all, a few of our clients are involved
Love
with
that.
them.
Love
But
that.
last year and the year before, we had done a collection for the holidays, a toy collection. And, I think a lot of charities do that. But the cool thing was we were able to go, they have tents throughout the Pasco County area that families in need can go and actually shop for the gifts for their
Oh, I
children.
love that.
And it's, sectioned into, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15. And so they feel like they're still shopping for their child. With those toys, they're not just getting handed whatever toy was collected. And so it had that personal touch that we really resonated with. And the one section of toys for teenagers, well, not toys, but like
Sure.
gifts for teenagers was a little low. And so that might be, where they need
Absolutely.
funding for.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yep.
And that's going to be your job to
Yeah, we'll figure that out for
facilitate
you,
that.
which is
Yeah.
great, and then work together to make it happen. And that's really where the magic is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so basically, white labeling or making a Union Financial Impact Fund, that is, first of all, brilliant. And second of all, something that a lot of our business owner clients or business owner listeners could do for their own business with you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is very plug and play. 3 easy steps to set up your own impact fund. One, we do a discovery call. We learn a little bit about your mission, the types of communities that you're interested in impacting. If they fall within our range of expertise, we'll set you up a fund. Second thing to do is to figure out your giving style, right? You're doing $100 for every new client. It could be a monthly donation. It could be a per transaction donation, whatever. We'll customize that to fit, a scalable model for your business. And then 3, we create your landing page, your own branded landing page inside of our website. So that way, from a compliance standpoint, everyone knows that, Sunraising Foundation carries the 501c3, but the brand, the impact fund, is branded as our power partner. So it gives you a destination to send your employees, your clients, your kind of sphere of influence to support your specific causes as well, which is easy. That's it. It's simple as that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you charge a fee? Do you charge a one-time upfront? How
We typically ask for
Because I don't expect anyone to do something for nothing.
no, we want to do as much as we can. The way that we have it set up is a minimum donation yearly. Typically we'll ask for a $500 start,
Mm-hmm.
and then a yearly goal. But again, we have to donate at least 75% of that each year. We can roll forward the remainder, and then we're going to keep a management fee of 7% to basically run the business. Vet the partners,
Mm-hmm.
create the impact reports, everything, all the deliverables that we would give to our power partners. We keep a small percentage, so that way 93% is going directly to end user impact,
Great.
which is great.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and for anyone not willing to pay a small management fee, let's face it, you're not going to do it yourself.
No,
And so, 93% versus 0%, it's pretty awesome.
I think so too.
That's a pretty big
Yeah,
impact.
I think so too. We're committed to running the organization with zero human resources expense, right? And so we're trying just the technology of creating what we need to be able to help you grow your business through philanthropy. Those deliverables, they take time. They take a little bit of effort. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other great thing too, of course, we all want to do good, but because I'm in finance, I got to mention charitable donations are tax deductible to corporations.
That they are.
So, I mean, if it's Uncle Sam or a charity, you know, where would you rather your money go? It usually makes sense for any profitable companies to be donating to charities throughout the course of the year, get that tax deduction. You're doing good while also saving your company some money on taxes.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
So it really doesn't hurt. And the other version of charitable donations comes in too for our retirees that are required to take their RMDs, which stands for required minimum distributions. Once you hit the age of 73, you're required per the government to start withdrawing a certain percentage of any retirement assets every year, any IRA, 401k, 403b assets. You have to start distributing them to yourself because you want to guess why? They want their tax dollars.
Of course.
That's money that's never been taxed. They want to start bringing some tax revenue in. They don't want you to just leave it sit there forever and ever. And so at 73, which they keep raising that age, but right now it's 73, let's say Mary Smith has to withdraw, I don't know, $10,000 from her IRA, and she really doesn't need the money. She has other income sources, or she only needs, 5,000 of it. Mary Smith can then have that extra 5,000 or whatever percentage of that RMD be funneled into a charitable distribution. They call it a qualified charitable distribution. And now she avoids the tax on it. And so, if it's a year where that extra money is going to bump them into a different tax bracket or whatever the circumstances may be, it might make sense to do that charitable distribution that year with the RMD. You can do it into our impact fund. You can set up your own.
Yeah.
So I always just want to bring that up because, when we speak to our clients about legacy planning, once they, get into that retirement age, there's really 4 buckets that your money can go into. Bucket number 1 is you. You want to spend every dime that you
Sure.
have. And nothing wrong with that. Some people are like, you know what? I want to spend every dime of this. I've worked hard for it. Fine.
Sure.
We'll plan accordingly. Bucket number 2 would be you want it to go to your heirs, which if that's the case, we need to make sure that we have estate planning in place. We have life insurance. We have beneficiaries listed. Bucket number 3 would be charity.
Yeah.
You might want to list a charity as your beneficiary, or you might want to make sure that you have those donations set up on a systematic basis. And then bucket number 4 is the IRS. If you don't plan properly, majority of your assets will go to the IRS.
No one wants that.
No,
Except the
I mean,
IRS.
maybe some people do. I don't know any, but me.
Maybe.
And so, it's part of that planning discussion. Where do you want your legacy to go? And if charity is one of the places you want it to go, even if it's, a small percentage, let's have a conversation about that. We can do it in an efficient way.
Yeah.
Where you want it to go.
Absolutely. And I think it's such a great conversation to have as a financial advisor with your clients,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is because oftentimes it's on the role of the individual to kind of figure out where they want to put the money. But for
Mm-hmm.
you as a money manager to be able to weave that into the conversation from an early stage of the relationship just builds so much more stickiness in the relationship. They're going to be with you long term. You guys are going to be doing good together, and soliciting their
Mm-hmm.
feedback, I think, is really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Because now the whole community is providing recommendations for what lives you guys should change together as a
Mm-hmm.
collective, and you can report back on that. And from scaling a business through philanthropy, you can't get any better than that. That's fantastic.
No, because I mean, we all want to be successful and make a lot of money, but deep down, that's not enough.
No, it
I
never
mean,
is.
not for me either. Like, if you're not making others' lives better, why do you need so much money?
Yeah.
Even if it's just making your family's lives better,
Yeah.
that's the real reason behind all of us wanting to make a lot of money, I think, at least for me personally.
I agree. I think we live in a world that it's easy to forget how much need still exists,
Mhm.
right? And so if we can just pull back the curtain just a
Because
little
we're
bit,
privileged, honestly.
we
know it.
we live where we live,
Mhm.
and especially as a father of three, the next generation, they want to do even more good than we do. And it's important to show them the different avenues where they can go and really pull back the curtain of how much need there is out there, because it's everywhere, unfortunately. Unfortunately, we live in a world where there's so much need, and we all need to come together to be able to do that. And I think we have a great opportunity to really, take our entrepreneurial brains and apply it to helping others.
Mhm.
And I think some special things can happen.
Yeah. And I mean, on that same realm of, building up that impact fund, talk to me a little bit about donor advised funds,
Yeah,
which
similar.
is how you can totally,
Yeah.
grow that account.
Yep. And so as we grow the basic impact fund, we can definitely grow that into a formal donor advised fund where Union Financial can be a registered agent, and we can start investing those funds throughout the year and watch them grow to even scale the impact even more so, right? And so this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to impact funding and how to set it up in a partnership sense. And so really, much like a managed assets that you have on the nonprofit side, we can do the same exact thing. Invest it into high risk, high reward, low risk across the board. But for something like that, we would need to strengthen our partnership, and I would need to have someone licensed to
I
be
just
able to
don't
manage
think
all
most people know
that.
that
Yes,
exists.
absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a piggy bank of cash. It
No,
can truly be invested, and that $1,000 can easily grow to 5,000 over the years if it's invested even in like low cost index funds. We're not
absolutely,
talking, crazy high risk strategies, obviously,
absolutely.
but that does exist, and that's probably stage 3 or 4. It's not right off the top.
No,
But as a company becomes more comfortable with their impact fund, speaking about investing
yes.
that money, it's really exciting.
Yeah, once the organization grows to collective funds of a six figures, that's about the time that we would say, okay,
Absolutely.
let's take a look at, really increasing our passive growth of this fund so we can help everyone continue to do even more good,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, say if a listener wants to find out how they can start their impact fund,
Yeah.
what would be the first steps that they would do?
Best thing to do is just go onto our website, which is sunraising.org, and put in a contact ticket to set up a discovery call. And we can learn more about what their goals and interests are in philanthropy and see if we can make that a reality for them. That's easy.
No charge for
No
that?
charge. No.
Okay.
No.
What
None
if they feel
whatsoever.
like they don't have enough money?
So they can donate to us. You can, on our website, you can just set up a general recurring donation and be part of our fundraising impact fund. And we stick to our 3 verticals of food, water, and sustainability. Metropolitan Ministries falls into those buckets. So if you just want to be a part of what we're doing, you can go on there, set up a monthly recurring donation, and you'll get your impact report at the end of the year of all the good that we've done collectively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Easy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And now, something that I'm starting to implement with any guests that we have on is
boy.
to ask the best financial decision you've ever made and the worst.
Yes.
And no judgment, of course.
Of course.
But, our goal is relatability with our listeners.
Yeah.
Maybe they can learn from a mistake you made or implement something that has worked really well for you.
Sure.
So what would you say? We'll start with bad first. What would
Oh,
you
we're
say
going to start with bad
what would you
first.
say your worst
Oof.
financial decision thus far in life has been?
Don't know if you're going to want to repeat this one. The worst financial mistake I ever made was not having proper legal counsel during a divorce.
Okay. Would you go the mediation route?
I self-represented on a mediation against a opposing party that was well stocked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So certain things are worth spending money on.
Yes. We work with a lot of clients that are going through a divorce or just went through a divorce, and yeah, there's huge financial implications to it. Splitting the assets properly. If this is something you can relate to and you were just divorced, we can help you with splitting those assets and laying your new foundation for what really is your new financial reality. And oftentimes you don't want to keep the same advisor that your ex-spouse used.
Yeah.
You can. Usually both parties want to go their separate ways.
And it's always good to have someone who's not emotionally invested in everything.
Yeah.
So
okay, legal counsel, very important.
Yes, learn that the hard way, which is
Okay.
perfectly okay.
Okay.
And the best piece of advice that I ever received financially was from my beautiful bride, my wife. When we got together, my credit score was not very sterling, and she really worked with me hard to explain the value of an 800 credit score. And now I sit here with an 800 credit score, and I can tell you that the best piece of advice was from her, making that a priority, and what that unlocks for you as an individual is tremendous, both on the business and on the personal side. Having a great credit score is crucial.
How did you build up that credit score?
Ooh, it took a while. A lot of it was paying off old debts, getting things organized. I would say that was the bulk majority of it. Is I was really, really heavy on the revolving credit card debt, getting that rebalanced out, understanding the percentages, basically understanding how credit scores work. What are the grading criteria?
Because there's good debt to have and there's bad debt.
Absolutely.
Credit card debt is bad.
Yep. And so you reorganize that a little bit, you pay it down here, you get into the right percentages, and it can jump 100 points overnight if you do it right and get it all balanced the way that it needs to be. So
okay. Yeah. Hey, that's great. I'm happy that you're in a good spot with that now.
Yeah. Yeah. So now if another COVID comes around or anything like that, you have a lot of, what's the word? Borrowability.
Borrowing power. Yeah.
Borrowing power to get through life's challenges, because they're definitely coming. It's just the way that it is. Yeah.
What are your goals for this year, either on a business standpoint or it can be, what kind of impact you want to make?
Oh, great question. So this year for the foundation, we volunteer every month at the Trinity Cafe. So our goal for the year is 5,000 meals physically served, which is great. We're already a third of the way there, which is awesome.
Wow.
You're more than invited to join us anytime
Thank
you
you.
like. We would like to set up about a dozen power partners. We're at 3 right now that we're working with, which is really exciting. And so we'd like to scale that. And from there, we'd like to be able to have reportable impact in all 3 of our verticals: water, food, and sustainability. And I think we'll be able to do that. And then obviously see if your mom is going to be defending champ at the 2nd annual poker night.
Yeah. Hey, we will be there.
So
she's got pressure's on this year.
So we
need
someone to come. We need someone to come knock her off the throne, man. She's tough. So
yeah, come on, poker players. If you're good,
this fall, be on the lookout.
Yeah, absolutely. So. All right. Well, that is great. I think it's going to be a wonderful year of changing lives and, improving all of our own businesses as well. Because as you said, using business as a means for good, that's just plain old good business.
Good business. Yep.
And I think we can all relate to that. And so for anyone that's listening and wants to have a conversation with Jason about maybe starting an impact fund for your own business, or just how to give back to maybe the funds that are already set up. And if you have questions for me, of course, I can funnel them over to Jason. But how can people get in touch with you?
You can find us on social media. We have the Sunraising Foundation has a Facebook page. I think we have an Instagram page as well, or through the website. That's the easiest way. Or just
Sunraising.org.
sunraising.org. Sunraising, yep, sunraising.org. That's the easiest way to find us, or through one of our valued partners like yourself.
Okay.
So,
Great.
go to Marissa. She'll send you my way, and we'll be off to the races.
Awesome. And for anyone else that has questions about how to save on taxes by contributing to charities, or any other financial questions that are in the back of your mind, we'd be happy to have a conversation with you either by phone, Zoom, or in person. If you'd like to head to our website, union-financial.com, click on book a meeting, and it'll take you right to my personal schedule. And we can schedule a time that works best for both of us. We'd be happy to help you live a better financial future and do good in this world. So thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Future of Finance podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Wood, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. BCM and Union Financial Services are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BCM, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents. The opinions expressed by Marissa Wood and guests on this show are their own and do not reflect the opinions of this radio station. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Investments involve risk and otherwise stated are not guaranteed. Past performance cannot be used as an indicator to determine future results. Any strategies mentioned may not be suitable for everyone. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. Before acting on any information mentioned, please consult with a qualified tax or investment advisor to determine if it's suitable for your specific situation. This program is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to subject covered. Index or fixed index annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charge as described in the annuity contract. Guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the insurer. Please refer to our firm brochure, the ADV 2A Item 4, for additional information. Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.